In this lesson, we're going to be solving for angles in right triangles. So we know we have a right angle, and we're typically going to have two sides, and we're going to have to solve for a missing angle. So I just listed again the ratios, sine, cosine, and tangent. None of that's going to be different. Here's our first problem. So we're going to situate ourselves at the angle that we want. So I'm here at x, and 7 is the adjacent side, 12 is the hypotenuse. So the ratio deals with adjacent and hypotenuse is cosine. So I have the cosine of x is equivalent to adjacent over hypotenuse, so 7 over 12. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we need to work backwards. So really what's happening behind the scenes here, if you think back to that table, we're asking the calculator in a second here, we're going to say take 7/12 and find where that is under the cosine column. Okay, so it's asking us to work backwards. In math, backwards and inverse are kind of associated. Here's how you typically see this written. So the inverse cosine of 7/12 is equivalent to x, or the angle. It really, though, what's going to happen, I write it like this because this is what it kind of looks like in your calculator. So if you take your calculator, again, you have to be in degrees. We want cosine to the -1. If you look at your calculator, you can press second and then cosine, and it'll do that cosine to the -1. That's equivalent to 7 divided by 12. I'm sorry, not equivalent. We want the inverse cosine of 7/12. So when you type that in, press enter, you end up getting x is 54.3 degrees. So again, I just typed in second cosine and then 7 divided by 12. All right, let's try another one. All right, so we're solving for the angle again. 9 is the adjacent side. 22 is the hypotenuse, so we're going to be looking at cosine. So we have the cosine of my angle is equivalent to 9 over 22. We need to work backwards, so I'm going to do the inverse cosine of 9 over 22 is equal to what angle? To what I'm trying to find. So I went second cosine and then 9 divided by 22. And I get 65.9 degrees. Here's our next problem. Situating myself at the x. The 8 is the opposite side, the 10 is the adjacent. Opposite and adjacent works with tangent. So the tangent of my angle is equal to 8 over 10. So I want to do the inverse tangent of 8/10 in order to find x. So I'm going to press second tangent and then 8 divided by 10. You should have about 38.7 degrees. Okay, last one. Again, positioning myself at x, 12 is adjacent, the 27 is the hypotenuse. So we're looking at cosine here. So the cosine of x is equivalent to 12 over 27. So I'm really looking for the inverse cosine of 12 over 27. That's equivalent to my angle. So I'm going to do second cosine, 12 divided by 27. And I have x is equal to 63.6 degrees.